Hey Tech Explorers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a game-changing feature that's bridging the gap between civilization and the great outdoors, satellite messaging on iPhone and Pixels. For years, staying connected meant relying on cell towers. But what happens when you're off the grid, hiking, camping, or exploring remote areas? That's where satellite messaging comes in. Both Apple and Google have integrated this life-saving technology into their latest phones, but with some key differences. Let's break it down. Essentially, these phones can now connect directly to satellites orbiting Earth, allowing you to send messages even when you have no cell service. This is huge for adventurers, emergency situations, or simply peace of mind when you're off the beaten path. Apple introduced emergency SOS via satellite with the iPhone 14 series. This feature allows you to contact emergency services when you're outside a cellular or Wi-Fi coverage. It's free for 2 years after activating a compatible iPhone. With iOS 18, Apple expanded its capability with messages via satellite. Now you can send and receive text messages with friends and family, not just emergency services. This is a game changer for those staying in touch while exploring the wilderness. Now, some of you are wondering, what about Samsung and their S24 phone? Well, unfortunately, no. Despite rumors and even a promise from Samsung that satellite connectivity would be coming to the Galaxy phones in 2024, the Samsung Galaxy S24 series, including the S24, the S24 Plus, and the S24 Ultra, do not have satellite connectivity. This means that you can't use the S24 to send emergency messages or make calls when you're outside of a cellular coverage area. Now, if you don't have an iPhone, the only other cellular phone now that connects with satellite is the Google's Pixel 9. Now, some of you probably thought the Pixel 8 actually would connect, and Google initially thought it might, but the modem in the Pixel 8 series just didn't work, so they changed the modem for the Pixel 9 series, and the new modem in the Pixel 9 allows all the Pixel series to have the emergency satellite SOS connectivity. Now, it works very similar to Apple, so I'm not going to go through the whole scenario again, but it works very similar, except we're not talking about the second part that Apple has, which is iMessages through satellite. This is simply an emergency services that you'll be able to connect if you don't have cellular connection. So this should all occur automatically. If all goes well, the satellite SOS should automatically switch over. Your cell phone will identify the fact there is no signal and will automatically switch to plan B, which of course is the satellite connection. So when you hit the emergency services that you need, you're going to send an SOS, then that will be activated automatically. Nothing needs to be done. Now, users will want to make sure that the emergency SOS is properly set up on the Pixel 9. This can be done by opening the Safety app and opening the emergency SOS section. Because satellite SOS is a fallback, it should automatically turn on and activate in certain situations. Remember, it isn't always going to be an option and won't come into play if there's sufficient internet connectivity with Wi-Fi. As for the satellite SOS options, there are none. Nothing needs to be enabled for the feature to appear when other options fail. And the question is this free? It is exactly the same as the iPhone and is available free of charge with your purchase on a Pixel 9 for 2 years. So there is some confusion between satellite messaging and SOS messaging on your phones. Let me explain the difference. Let's take the SOS messaging. Now, this is a situation where you are outside cellular coverage, you're maybe in your car and you have an accident and you have no cellular coverage. Now, either you or your phone will activate an emergency SOS message needing you need help. This message will be transmitted up to the low orbiting satellite. It then will go through a series of relays and be sent and down to a company that manages the SOS messages. Now, this company can identify where you are because in the message that is sent from your cellular phone in your accident is a GPS location of your position. They then are able to contact the 911 emergency services in the area of that location. And then they, of course, would respond to that. So it's not a two-way communication. This is more of an automated response to an emergency situation. Now, the second is what iPhone is doing. This is a messaging service where you can actually send like text messages, but it's through a satellite. This is not necessarily an emergency situation. This is satellite messaging. And it's different than, of course, the automated emergency SOS that is going through a different system. So now I'd like to talk a little bit more about connecting your iPhone to a satellite. We're going to do a bit of a deeper dive in this. Now, with your iPhone 14 or all models later than an iPhone 14, you can connect your iPhone to a satellite to text emergency services, request roadside assistance, message friends or families. So satellites move rapidly, they have low bandwidth, and are located hundreds of miles from Earth up in the sky. So when you use a satellite connection, the experience is different than sending or receiving a message via your cellular connection. So the ideal conditions with direct view of the sky and of the horizon, a message might take 30 seconds to send. It could be longer. It might take over a minute to send under trees with light or medium foliage. If you're under a heavy foliage or surrounded by other obstructions, you might not be able to send to the satellite. So connection times can also be impacted by your surroundings, the length of your message, the status and availability of the satellite network. To use satellite connectivity, your iPhone must have the compatible software. So before you go somewhere with no cellular or Wi-Fi coverage, you should update to the latest version of iOS. Satellite features are included for free for 2 years with the activation of the iPhone 14 or later models. So my advice is you should give it a try. There is a satellite connection demo on your iPhone, and you should give it a try, set it up, and practice it before you actually want to use it. Let's talk about security and privacy. When you text with emergency SOS via satellite, your message is sent in encrypted form and de-encrypted by Apple before being passed along to the emergency service dispatcher or the emergency relay center. Your messages may be retained by emergency service center and the relay provider to improve their services in the compliance with applicable laws. In order to route your text message to a local emergency service organization and to assist responders in reaching you, your location will be shared with Apple and the relay providers when you use the emergency SOS via satellite. When you use the roadside assistance via satellite, your current location will be shared with Apple and the roadside assistance provider temporarily until help arrives. In order to route your message to the roadside assistant provider and assist them in reaching you after help arrives. After the help arrives, location data is no longer shared with Apple and the roadside assistance provider. When you use messages via satellite, this is the message service, your iMessages are end-to-end encrypted so that nobody other than you and the person you are messaging can read them while you're in transit between devices. All right, let's just review this one more time. There are 2 phones that can connect to the satellites. The first is the Pixel 9 series. This is only available in the United States and not available in Alaska or Hawaii. This is a very automated process and quite different from iPhone. There is no setup required. The only thing you have to do is set up through the emergency services on your Pixel 9 phone. Make sure that is complete. And when you have an emergency requiring SOS, then it will automatically switch from cellular to satellite and should connect and get your help sent to you. This is quite different than the iPhone. Now, the iPhone can connect to the satellite in Canada and the United States. Those are the two countries it's currently working in. Now, you have to have iOS 18 or better, but it does go back to the iPhone 14. You should check with your individual phones with Apple just to make sure it works. And also, there is a demo activation feature on the phone that you can practice and see how this works. So I would encourage you to spend some time setting this up prior to going camping and getting into trouble. Unlike the Pixel 9, which is all automatic and there's nothing you really need to do, the iPhone takes a little bit of setup. But you have two systems with the iPhone. You have, of course, a messaging system in which you activate it and it sends an emergency message up to the satellite and then back down and rerouted to emergency services. This service should only be used in emergency situations because it involves emergency crews coming out to try and help you. But there is a second system, which of course is iMessages. This is a messaging service in which you can text and message your loved ones through a satellite. This is really cool, and I would encourage you to try this. Again, available only in Canada and the United States. So 2 different phones, 2 different services, and next year the Samsung S25 will be able to connect to satellites and will offer this program as well. So it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I sure learned a lot. So remember that like and subscribe, and until we see you again, have a great day.